Hello YouTube. Today I'll tell you about very unusual geological formations in China and Russia, but I'll start with Russia, with the city of Orenburg, administrative center of Orenburg region. It is located on the Ural River, about 1500 kilometers southeast of Moscow. And also Orenburg is very close to the border with Kazakhstan. Well, Orenburg stone spheres are a unique object and are protected by the state, being a natural monument. Some people believe that the Buka by Yari, meaning steep bank, in the Bashkir language, that's the nomadic people in the area. So people believe that they are fossils. Another believes that a man had a hand in their creation. The answer to the question of what exactly is the secret of the unusual shape of these spheres is in this video. Bukabai stone spheres are located 60 kilometers from the city of Sol-Iletsk, one of the main health resorts of the Orenburg region, on a high and steep bank called Yar, a small river near Bukabai, and that's where they're located. Giant spherical and mushroom-shaped boulders sticking out of the coastline. They form unusual landscapes, real stone necklaces, hanging in cornices and clusters. The total area of the natural monument is 136 hectares, but the location with spheres occupies several dozens of square meters. Everything is quite compact. It's a very unusual place, by the way. The rest of the territory is classified as a monument due to the geological features of the region. To a greater extent, scientists are interested in the coastline and the contents of sand deposits. A few decades ago, the remains of an ancient Mastodon Soros lizard were discovered in the rock of the Bukaboy Yar. This huge reptile, somewhat resembling a modern crocodile, lived on our planet about 230 million years ago, in the middle of the Triassic. The find turned out to be so unique that even a new term appeared in the scientific community, Bukabai fauna. So paleontologists have designated a stage in the development of representatives of the fauna of terrestrial vertebrates of Eastern Europe in the Triassic period. That was the first geological period of the Mesozoic era. I have to tell you now, I have heard in my youth in Ukraine from village boys in the summer camps, also those who came from various parts of the USSR, and then I read accounts too of strange reptiles that allegedly exist in remote areas of the country and sometimes terrorize the locals. Well, my evidence was presented in the videos in my channel, and you can find a number of them about the Urals, about other parts of the former Soviet Union. I mean, this is incredible. You should have heard those boys, and they were quite serious, very descriptive, many years ago. Now, for the tourists, the main purpose of the visit is the Bukabai spheres, unusual stone sculptures, and not the ancient reptile discovery. Each of these boulders has very impressive dimensions of several meters in diameter. By the way, tourists visit Bukabai Yari not purposely, but as an addition to the main place of attraction, the resorts of the city of Sol-Iletsk, where thousands of Russians come every year. You see, Sol-Iletsk is famous for its healing springs, salt lakes, and mineral mud. And so that tourists do not get bored at the resort, local residents provide sightseeing services showing everyone the surrounding attractions. And in order to make it more interesting for tourists to look at the attraction, a lot of modern mythologies have formed according to Bukabai Yar. For example, you can find information on the web that the stone spheres have a special miraculous energy. Some say that the stone blocks are actually ancient artifacts left over from the time of a certain ancient civilization, and their unusual shape is a vivid confirmation of this. Well, I've told you a lot about strange past civilizations and vanished people of the Ural Mountains. Now, of course, it's very easy to lure a multitude of tourists somewhere with stories about esoteric phenomena and ancient civilizations. Well, the halo of mystery has done its job. The stone spheres have become famous as one of the most popular tourist attractions, and even their location is marked on the Russian Yandex maps with the ability to leave reviews. However, according to scientists, Bukoba-Yari is an interesting place, but it is quite of natural origin. Scientifically, all these stone mushrooms and spheres are called rounded concretion constrictions. These objects were formed because of prolonged propelling of loose rock particles, which include sandstones. The geological age of the object is about 250 million years, and again dates to the Paleozoic-Mesozoic era. I have demonstrated in my videos what a strange period in the history of our planet it was, and the disappearance of many life forms. Well, apparently some other objects appear on our planet about the same time. And of course, it had to be the Ural Mountains, a most paranormal territory in modern Russia. So do not disregard ancient civilizations hypothesis, because there is plenty of evidence about the Urals in the past to ponder about it. And I'll try to bring you more stories and very interesting phenomena in the Ural Mountains, as I have done before. But then there is China. Xianan-Buyei and Miaow Autonomous Prefecture is an autonomous prefecture of Guizhou Province, People's Republic of China, bordering Guangxi to the south. On Mount Gandang, located in that southwestern region of China, there is an interesting phenomenon that geologists, researchers, and locals have been observing for several decades. In the rocky walls of the base of the mountain, there is a cliff that the locals called Chandanya, or egg-laying cliff, due to its ability to lay stone eggs every 30 years. But where do they come from? The egg-laying cliff of the mountain is approximately 6 meters wide and 20 meters long, which is quite small compared to the size of the entire mountain. About once every 30 years, a small rock lays a stone egg on its side. As soon as the stone egg breaks off the cliff, it falls to the ground, where it can be found by the first local resident who is lucky enough to stumble upon it. This phenomenon of laying stone eggs has been observed for hundreds of years. The locals of this region have heard stories of a mountain laying eggs since childhood, and most of them, having grown up, go there to try to find a stone egg. So there are conflicting stories, but I prefer to think it's been there for hundreds of years, based on the stories of those who had visited that place. The size of the stone eggs found varies from 20 to 60 centimeters each. They have a dark blue hue and are almost perfectly smooth, which allows them to reflect sunlight at a certain angle after cleaning and polishing. The largest stones, as it turned out, weigh more than 600 pounds or 272 kilograms. The nearest village to Changdanya is Gulu Village, an old district in the autonomous county of Sandu Shui, where 250,000 Shui live. This is an autonomous county in the southeast of the Guizhou Province, China. It is under the administration of the, again, Xianan-Buyei and Miaow Autonomous Prefecture. And the only Shui autonomous county in China, which is important, I guess. 63% of all the Shui people in China live in this county, which is the heartland of this ethnicity. The Shui are one of the 56 officially recognized ethnic groups in China. I think they even have Russians who lived there for hundreds of years. Anyway, the Shui have lived in this region since before the Han Dynasty. Although the region itself is large, Gulu Village is actually quite small, with only a few dozen families living in it. The name Shui can be translated as water, which is quite appropriate given their history of life by the water. Whether it's rivers or streams, the Shui people can be found living next to them. At some point in history, several Shui communities were forced to move to the mountains, where they live to this day, preserving their love of water. Their traditions, folklore, and other beliefs revolve around the concept of water. Most of their clothes are painted in the shades of blue to match the color of the water. In fact, the Shui language was also developed with the concept of water in mind, as there are 10 different words meaning fish in their language. Since the local egg-laying mountain was discovered, locals have reported that more than 100 eggs have been found at the base of the cliff. Currently, about 70 are in the village and are divided between families depending on who found them first. The rest, they say, were either sold or stolen. The inhabitants of Shui believe that the stone eggs born by the egg-bearing mountain bring good luck, and even sometimes they worship them. They can be found in almost all the houses in the village, those objects, those eggs, are highly respected by those who collect them, as they are believed to bring prosperity and security to people, animals, and homes. The formation of these mysterious stone eggs is still being studied. Based on current research, it is believed that these eggs and the surrounding rocks in this region were formed in the Cambrian period about 500 million years ago. The Cambrian period was part of the Paleozoic era and is known for the Cambrian explosion, a period of time during which, according to the fossil record, most of the main groups of animals on Earth arose and diversified. Geologists suggest that this region was once underwater, which may have contributed to the formation of these egg-shaped rocks over time. It is believed that as a result of the effects of heat and compression on these stone eggs over the past 500 million years, they have become considered metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks are formed from existing igneous or sedimentary rocks that are subjected to intense heating and pressure underground for a long period of time. Professor Xu Ronghua from the Institute of Geology and Geophysics at the Chinese Academy of Sciences claims that the stone eggs are made of silicon dioxide, which must have been present in this region in the Cambrian period. If this is true, then according to him, the egg-shaped shape of the stones makes sense, since the sphere has a small surface area compared to other forms. Silicon dioxide particles had to bond in the shape of a sphere in water before being compressed into metamorphic rocks. Being underwater itself also contributed to the roundness and smoothness of the stones. As the stones move along the ocean floor under the influence of the surrounding currents and animals, they wear away, acquiring a smoother and more rounded shape. The same concept applies to the manufacture of ocean glass or home tumblers for stones. Silicon dioxide is present in many rocks, and in some rocks it is more than in others. Fibrous varieties of silicon dioxide are called chalcedony. Examples of chalcedony are agate, bloodstones, and onyx. Quartz and mogonite also consist of silicon dioxide, but each of them has a different physical crystal structure than all other examples. It is not entirely clear why stone eggs are black and not transparent, milky, or pastel, like other silicon stones, but scientists are actively trying to uncover further secrets of the composition of these mysterious stone eggs. The area surrounding the rock outside the eggs, however, is different. The cliff itself does not consist of metamorphic rock. Instead, the surrounding rock consists of calcareous rock, which is considered sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rocks can be found closer to the surface of the earth. They consist of compressed sediments, such as sand, soil, or small pieces of rock. Examples of sedimentary rocks are limestone, sandstone, and shale. These sedimentary rocks surrounding the stone eggs may have contributed to their compression and separation over the 500 million years. Although it may seem that the stone eggs are formed over 30 years and are born on the side of a cliff, in fact this is not the case. As mentioned earlier, it is believed that these stone eggs have existed for about 500 million years. Over time, the rocky slope of Changdanya has worn out as a result of weathering and erosion. Temperature changes and the effects of wind, water, ice, gravity, humans, and animals can eventually destroy even the largest rocks, including mountains. Since the composition of the stone eggs and the surrounding rock differs from each other, it is believed that the surrounding rock simply wears out faster than the stone eggs themselves. This is because calcareous rocks are destroyed faster than the metamorphic ones. Calcareous rocks consist mainly of calcium oxide, carbon dioxide, and magnesium oxide. They may also contain trace amounts of aluminum, iron, silicon, and water. The surrounding sedimentary calcareous rocks, due to its composition, collapses faster, eventually exposing stone eggs of a different composition. Since metamorphic stone eggs do not collapse along with the surrounding cliff, they fall out of it as they wear out. Locals in Gulu estimated that it takes about 30 years for each stone egg to be laid by the mountain from the moment it first appears in the rock until it falls to the ground. A stone egg that is just emerging may lie for another 30 years before the rock erodes so much that it falls, and a stone egg has already been partially laid may lie for only 10 to 20 years. Since all the stone eggs are located in different places of the rock, theoretically the egg can fall at any moment for the next lucky person who finds it. As the mountain continues to collapse, stone eggs may begin to appear on the paths that Shui locals and other tourists often walk along. If this happens, moving along paths or on horseback may be difficult, and measures will have to be taken to physically remove or destroy protruding eggs. What awaits the famous egg-laying mountain? As the slopes of the mountain will eventually collapse, more and more stone eggs will come out of the rock and fall to the ground. In addition, eggs can begin to protrude on the mountain, on the top of the mountain, since, as already mentioned, it is eroded by pedestrian traffic. Geologists can't say exactly how many eggs are left in the mountain, but theoretically they could be all over the mountain if there was enough silicon dioxide in the region during the Cambrian period. Ultimately, no one will know about it until the mountain runs out of stone eggs, if that happens at all. So over the next few thousand years, the mountain will continue to erode into the soil, leaving behind those eggs. If the eggs are no longer collected, they will remain on the ground, where they will also collapse and turn into sediment from which new sedimentary rocks will eventually be formed. This is the rock cycle. However, without being exposed to weathering factors such as soil, wind, water, and ice, stone eggs can be preserved by a person much longer if they continue to be carefully collected. Believe it or not, this particular cliff at the base of the Changdanya is not the only area that lays eggs. In other less visited places of the mountain, outcrops and egg emissions are also observed, which suggests that the whole mountain is full of them. If this is true, then locals may see more of these unique stones over the generations. Well, families in other nearby areas can also start collecting these eggs as they become available and use them for trade, tourism, or religious purposes. Those who live on the other side of the mountain and have never observed the phenomenon of egg laying before can begin to observe it themselves. Well, although Mount Gandang was the first place where these stone eggs were discovered, again, it is possible that other places may exist in unexplored mountainous area. And it is also possible that in the future, mountains may contain more stone eggs. Currently, our oceans contain 30 parts per billion of silicon dioxide, and the Earth's crust is 59% silicon dioxide. Since such a large amount of silicon is still present both in the Earth and in the oceans, it is quite possible that newly created eggs may be in future mountains in a few million years. Although we will not personally see these mountains laying eggs, perhaps those who see it will be as fascinated by it as we are, and maybe they'll even find different explanations. We'll go by what science has presented so far. Here's what Chinese travelers wrote about their experiences in the Gulu scenic area in translation and from online tourist review sites. Gulu Village is built on the mountain. From Gulu Village up to the mountain road to the egg-laying cliff, I don't know if it is in the off-season. The egg-laying cliff scenic area is empty and seemingly unmanaged, like a forgotten scenic spot. The laying of eggs on the rocks of the laying cliff is also called the mystery of the world. This is the gathering place of Gulu villages, located in the Miaow National Forest Park. This has created a valley of Chinese aquatic culture, but because of the inconvenience of transportation, there are very few tourists here. This is an aquatic village surrounded by mountains and rivers. However, there are very few tourists, almost no outsiders. The children in the village are so cute. They cooperate with us to take pictures. The buildings in the stockade are relatively old. Egg-producing cliffs, the mountain is a strange one, covered with trees and grass. But the cliff itself is bare, and strangely, it sheds rocks every 30 years that resemble dinosaur eggs. The origin of the egg cliff, which is said to be laid by stone, is still inconclusive. And this one, stone egg, it is like a foreigner. It looks like a dinosaur egg, but in fact it is not. It is actually a stone just showing a circle. This is also the treasure of the town of Gulu Village in the Sandu Shui Autonomous County, and many people have traveled a long way to see the magic. Moreover, this stone cliff, with 1,000 years of history, lays some stone eggs every 30 years. The locals regard the possession of stone eggs as a symbol of prosperity. Later, after research and analysis by scientific geologists, the geological age of the original stone egg is very old, about 500 million years old, and the stone walls on the egg-laying cliffs are made of a kind of mudstone. After the continuous compaction of the upper sediments, the ooze and nodules have become rocks buried under this deep seabed. The ooze has become mudstone, and the nodules have become stone eggs. After hundreds of millions of years of geological movement, they're finally exposed to the surface. Well, so now you know about the strange spheres and eggs that most likely are products of our planet's geology. Yes, but I have more of geological wonders to discover, and explanations for their existence may not be so clear. So please stay tuned. I find geological history of the past of our planet fascinating, and I'm sure we'll be encountering some of the phenomena which cannot be so easily explained. If you like my research, please support me in the links in the description to this video. Please like my videos and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.